Well, there you go. And divorce is endemic. A lot of you watching the program have been through divorce or you're going through divorce. A lot of things could be said about divorce. People sometimes in a kind of a knee-jerk way say, well, God hates divorce. Well, of course he does. Why wouldn't he? I hate divorce too. Why? Because divorce fractures families. It creates a domino effect that sometimes takes literally generations to deal with. I mean, why wouldn't he hate divorce? Does that mean that he refuses anyone the privilege or the right to divorce? Absolutely not. Moses allowed for a certificate of divorce, and he did that for the sake of women. Until that time, a man could divorce his wife in the Jewish context for any reason at all, just like they can in the Muslim context today. And the woman had no power. She had no rights. And what's more, after the divorce, years later, if he wanted to, the man could come back and reclaim his wife, which was totally unjust because her life had gone on, and why should she be pulled back into this? And so Moses instituted this business of a certificate of divorce. What? Paper trail. That's what it was, a paper trail. So when the guy came back to try to reclaim her, she could say, no, no, here it is. We're divorced. You have no rights, no legal right to haul me back. And Moses did that. Now, Jesus said he did it for the hardness of your hearts. Of course, if you really love your wife, you're not going to divorce her. But there was such a male-dominated culture during that biblical era that men had to be dealt with, And then, people will say, well, Jesus said if you marry someone who's divorced, you're committing adultery. You need to understand the context. There were two major rabbis at the time of Jesus. One was Hillel, the other was Shammai. Hillel was the liberal, Shammai was the conservative. Hillel had taken the scriptures, the Old Testament scriptures, references to divorce, and had tweaked them. In the Old Testament, a woman had a right to three things: sexual pleasure from her husband, housing and clothing, and food. And if he failed her in any of those three areas, she had a right to be divorced. So there was a lot of divorce going on, but men basically were doing it because they found another woman more attractive, and so they just cast her aside. Hillel took those scriptures and he tweaked them. So in his school of thought, you could divorce for any cause. Any cause. Not just sexual issues, not just food and shelter issues, divorce for any cause. Whereas Shammai, the conservative, he said, no, no, it's only when there is a breakup of that sexual, covenantal, I'll care for you, I'll feed you, I'll care for you in every way. That relationship, only then is there a divorce. Well, Hillel's followers say to Jesus, can a man divorce a woman for any cause? And Jesus, of course, identifies with Shammai on this one. He said, look, if you divorce your woman for any cause and remarry, you've committed adultery because you're not really divorced. Simple. The only way you're really divorced is if there has been a total breakdown in the covenant, and not just any cause. She didn't cook the meal properly last night, or I found a younger woman, or all of these spurious reasons that men would bring up for justifying their divorce. Bottom line, friends, if you're divorced, you need to understand it's not the unpardonable sin. Divorce happens, life happens. As this woman said, become a healthy single again before you even reconsider a relationship. But whatever you do, seek the Lord's counsel, seek His will, seek His pleasure in whatever the next chapter should be. And as you do so, the Lord will guide you and bless you without question. Life hurts. After divorce, you'll walk with a limp all of your life. You'll never really get over it, but life will move on. And you need to move on with it. Simmering, percolating the past, or as our guests put it, swirling around that drain of the past, counterproductive. Let old things pass away. Let all things become new. Back with more after this.